Hi guys, my name is Devin. If you're new here, I do fashion, college, lifestyle, and spirituality related content. But today I decided that I think I wanted to switch things up. So if you didn't know, one thing about me is I am a big reader, low-key. Honestly, I kind of took a break from reading, but when I was younger, I used to like be on the books heavy, and I recently picked it back up, like starting in quarantine, I guess. I started reading again. And then now that I'm back in college, I started picking it up heavy, like whether it be like reading like ebooks on my phone, or actual books. But today I decided I wanted to do a book review on my channel, which is something different, but I don't know, I could talk about this book for forever. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the book we're reviewing today is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm so sorry if I butchered that, but basically I wrote down a bunch of notes on my phone to talk about because guys, I read this book for the first time in 2020 during quarantine, peak quarantine, you know, and everybody was talking about the self-improvement, like blah blah blah. By the way, I read self-improvement books like it's my job. Like, I don't know, something about them just like they make me feel so inspired, and I feel like they do help me become a better person, even though after reading them sometimes I do just kind of go back to how I was, my old habits. But you know, something about them, I love them. But anyways, I read this book for the first time back in quarantine, and ever since then, it's been 3 years now, I've read this book at least once a year, every year for the past 3 years, which is crazy to think about. And like sometimes I'll just pick it up and read like a chapter as a refresher or whatever, but like this book literally has changed my life, and the way it was written is so beautiful. I've never read any of his other books, so if you have, leave a comment and tell me which one to read, because I love him as an author, and the way he presented this whole book, I just feel like that's why it clicked so much for me. But anyways, let's get into what I actually wrote about. So because I knew I was gonna do this, I could talk about this book for so long that I literally just start rambling. Okay, the reason why I think this book is so beautifully written is because the author takes time to introduce his ideas. So what I mean by this is that like when he like introduces the agreements, obviously wait, I'm like all over the place. I didn't even introduce the agreements at all. Basically, Four Agreements, in case y'all didn't know, Four Agreements is a wisdom book written by Don Miguel, basically, like I said before, and he introduces 4 different ideas that you should practice into your life, or agreements, and they're just gonna make you like just like more clear-headed and much like a happier person, more free-spirited, like just better overall. And so basically he introduces these ideas, but he connects it in such a way that is so relatable to you. So like when I first read this book for the first time, I would obviously like it would be in the back of my mind, and then I would see a situation presented in my real life that related to the book, and I'm like, wow, this is what he meant. Like it really clicked, you know what I mean? Not many authors have the power to do that, but since he does, I feel like that's why this book stands out so much to me. When he explains his ideas, he provides the example, and then he explains the example and makes it for full circle for me, and that's a big thing, which then connects it to my everyday life. If that wasn't clear, that's what I basically meant just now. Okay, next my plan was to go like chapter by chapter to talk about this, because there's a lot for me to say about this book. Again, I love it so much. Do you guys like the setup of this video also? I wanted to do something different, that's why I'm like chilling. I feel like this is really intimate. It's like me talking on FaceTime about books, which is so random to think about. Okay, let's talk about the first chapter, Domestication and the Dream of the Planet. So basically, long story short, this chapter just introduces the ideas of the book and kind of makes it so you're gonna understand more. So he introduces the idea that we're domesticated from birth, basically, meaning that somebody's always telling us what to do. Somebody's always like, you need to do this, and you should act like this, and don't do this. Like whether that's your teachers, that's your parents, that's like somebody's pushing these agreements onto you, telling you what you can and cannot do ever since you were young. Like that's how society is. We have rules, you know what I mean? It goes even down to something so small like religion, you know? So but this basically introduces like the 4 agreements, because it's like you have these beliefs already cast upon you, so it's so hard to break them sometimes, because other people are telling you to do this and this is what you were raised to think. That's why breaking these habits and the 4 agreements itself are so important. And that's why I love this book, because he didn't introduce the 4 agreements right away in the beginning of the book, but he did introduce it in a way that was gonna like connect with me and like make me think. I don't know if I'm making any sense of this video, but I just think this is a book that you really have to read to understand, but I'm trying my best. Let's now get into the first actual agreement, which is the second chapter of the book, but it's like technically the first, you know what I mean? But basically, the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. This right here is something that is so important, and I didn't really realize it until after I read the book. So basically, being impeccable is like, let's look at the actual definition of impeccable. To be impeccable is in accordance with the highest standards of propriety. Faultless, basically. So, in other words, be impeccable with your word. Your word is so powerful. The human word is so powerful. You never realize how much your sentences and your vocabulary and your words can affect somebody. The example I used in the book was, let's say you're walking down the street and someone says, hey, that girl's ugly. Now she could believe that she's ugly because somebody said that. Like, your word has so much power over a person and you don't even realize it. But basically, if you're impeccable with your word, you're speaking with a purpose, you're speaking with integrity. Because you shouldn't use your word to gossip or speak about yourself negatively, because your words have power, like I said before. And that's something, like a big topic that he discusses in this book in that first chapter. Again, being impeccable with your word can change so much, because it changes like the trajectory of things, really. Like, instead of spreading like gossip to the world, like gossip is poison. That's a big thing that he stresses. Basically, gossip is poison, and you should use your word to spread love rather than hate, because there's no point in spreading all that hate. And that's just such like a good lighthearted topic. And he did that. He ate. Basically, the biggest takeaway from that is our words have a bigger effect than we realize, which is a hard pill to swallow. The next agreement that he talks about is don't take anything personally. This agreement is something that has changed my life so much. I can't express it enough. If you don't take anything personally, you are just going to feel so much better about yourself. You have to realize, this is what I wrote down. What other people say or do is just a projection of their own reality. He explains this so well in this book, it's not even funny. Everything, you have to realize that nothing others do is because of you. So everybody has their own timeline, their own story, like their own journey. Something is happening in their lives and you don't even realize it. So don't take anything personally. Let's say you have a best friend and they just suddenly stop talking to you and you think they're mad at you. No. Like, don't just think that. Don't take it personally that they just like aren't choosing to like text you the way that they were. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe something happened in their life. Like, you can't just automatically take it personally, because that's when things just start going south. And he explains that so well in this book, and I just feel like ever since I started practicing like don't take it personally, my life has changed so much. When I got to college, I was in for a rude awakening, because in high school I was nice to everybody, so I don't want to say everybody liked me, but it's not like a lot of people had a problem with me. So it's like getting to college and I found out like some people don't like me because of my personality or because of this or that or whatever. I heard that, like, I took it so personal. Like, I was so upset. I didn't want to go out for a while because I was like, dang, like if this one person doesn't like me, then nobody is. But that's not true. I just decided to take that personally. So what? They didn't like my personality. That means they probably have something wrong with their own personality that they don't like, and they're just kind of projecting it onto me. And I shouldn't take it personally, because you know what, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I feel like I've only practiced that because of this. He words it so good in this book. He basically says that you have a choice to either eat up all the poison that people are sending to you or just simply move past it. And choosing to not take things personally is the best way to simply move past everything. Okay, I might have lied. This next agreement is definitely my favorite. I think I said that don't take anything personal. It was like probably the one that changed me the most, but I'm lying. Don't make assumptions is the third agreement, and it saved me, y'all. It literally saved me. You don't realize how many assumptions you make in your day-to-day life. It is basic human nature for us to find answers to questions that we don't know. Even if the answers aren't correct, we always just need to know yes or no. We always need to know like the answer, you know what I mean? It's basic human nature. It's something we can't really get past, but that's just kind of how it goes. So the best way to avoid making assumptions is just to ask questions, and just like don't just make it up. Don't make up answers, because making up answers is what's gonna hurt you in the long run. Just learn to communicate clearly, because If you communicate clearly, you're gonna find the answers that you want. And like I said, it's human nature to need answers. Assumptions just lead to more pain. Let me give you an example of, this is a good example. When I post on TikTok, I am always so scared when I look at like my views versus my likes, because you know how on TikTok sometimes you could see who views your profile and then you could see who likes it, and I'm like, this person viewed my profile but they didn't like it, they're probably making fun of me. No, nobody said that, Devin. Like, literally nobody said that. You're the only person who said that. I just assumed that they said that because I was assuming the worst. Don't make assumptions. It's literally hurting you rather than helping you. Most of the time, your head makes up this big false story and you start to believe it and you're just hurting yourself in the long run. But no, literally no, just don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. It hurts you so much and you don't even realize it until it's too late. The last agreement is always do your best. This one is probably the most important. He says in the book, honestly I agree, because you know, your best is always going to differ from time to time. He says in the book, it's going to differ if you're healthy or sick, if you're drunk or sober, if you're happy or sad. Your best is always going to be different. But as long as you do your best, you're doing that action out of love. This is something that he brought up in the book that also changed my perspective on so many things. Are you doing something out of love, or are you doing it for the reward? If you do things out of love, you're going to be happier and you're going to in turn do your best. And when you're doing your best, that's you projecting love into the universe. And that's the main point of this book, is just to like produce more love rather than hate. And so by doing your best, like, I don't know, it just changes the game and everything. It makes you such a more happy person and more motivated. And I don't know, it helps you avoid self-judgment, and like, if you're doing your best, you're proud of yourself and you feel good about yourself. And this is the like thing that just kind of put me over the edge with this book, like, as to why I love it. He basically explains that you could always do your best in every other agreement. So you could do your best at being impeccable with your word. Obviously it's not going to be perfect all the time because you're just starting this. Like, you've grown up for years doing like talking gossip, talking badly about other people, talking badly about yourself. So it's going to be hard, but you can do your best. Don't take anything personally. Obviously that's something you can't change overnight, but you could do your best to not take anything personally. Same thing with making assumptions. It's basic human nature to make an assumption when you don't have an answer. But you know what? You could always do your best not to make an assumption. So always doing your best is just kind of like the foundation of all the other agreements, and that's what I love. And when he explained that, I was like, huh, they all really do work together, you know? It's like a system, like a well-oiled machine, if you will. And I feel like that's really why I love this book so much. Like, just the fact that like everything blends together so good in a way like you never really would have thought. I don't know. It's just too good. And you know what? He ends the book with like a chapter talking about how you could break old agreements, and it's basically just like, it's just so good. He basically explains we need to be free spirit and we have to be able to let ourselves go and just, you know what, be ourselves, you know what I mean? Be happy, be ourselves, and just let love and light flow into the universe. And my favorite thing about this book is when you think it's over, he leaves like a prayer for you guys. Isn't that cute? Like, this author is so like, he's just so genuine, and I love this book so very much. This is something so different for me to film, so I don't really know if I did a good job. But I love this book so much, and I could literally talk about it for hours, and I know I probably didn't do it justice in this video. But please leave a comment if you guys want to talk about it, because I would love to have a conversation about it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Should I continue doing stuff like this on my channel? I don't really know if y'all find it interesting or not. But let me know, leave a comment, and yeah. Again, this is the 4 agreements, 10 out of 10 recommend. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. Love you guys, and read this. Read it. Read it. Bye.